Darkness stretches endlessly across the void. Erebus 9, a battered warship, drifts through a graveyard of shattered vessels. Fires smolder in the husks of what was once the pride of Earth's fleet. Bodies, some in scorched exosuits, others, still strapped into ruined cockpits, float in the zero-gravity abyss, the remains of a massacre. Inside the bridge, the dim emergency lighting flickers, casting jagged shadows across the walls. The air is heavy with the acrid scent of burnt circuitry and the metallic tang of blood. Captain Dane Rourke, his face lined with exhaustion and streaked with soot, grips the edge of the command console. His dark eyes scan the wreckage through the viewport, searching for movement, signs of pursuit. The crew is silent, each member absorbing the weight of what had just happened. Status? Rourke's voice is hoarse, edged with the tension of a man who has lost too much in too little time. Seated at the flickering holo console, Lieutenant Mira Voss struggles to stabilize the ship's systems. Her uniform is torn, her fingers smeared, with dried blood, some hers, some not. She barely glances up from the failing readouts. Engines at 26%, she reports grimly. Power is fluctuating. Primary weapons offline. Shields are gone. We have enough thruster control. To drift, but not to run. A pause. No signs of pursuit yet. For the first time in hours, a breath of relief. But it is a short-lived mercy. A deep, metallic groan echoes through the ship as the hull struggles under the strain of the damage. Rourke straightens, adjusting, his battered jacket. They could still be out there, waiting to finish what they started, because the Lost Legion was never meant to escape. The fall of the Legion. Not long ago, the Lost Legion was Earth's greatest force, an elite military unit forged in war, feared across the stars. They were the vanguard of humanity, pioneers of deep space expansion, protectors of the colonies that stretched beyond the Sol barrier. But war has no loyalty. The World Council, Earth's ruling authority, had turned against them. The reason? A betrayal orchestrated in the shadows, a war fought in silence. One moment the Legion was fighting for Earth, the next they were branded as traitors, exiled beyond the barrier and hunted like fugitives. Their crime? They knew. The truth. The details were fragmented. Classified transmissions intercepted, orders that didn't add up. Entire colonies vanishing from the record books. Rourke and his crew had started asking questions, and the moment they did, the hammer fell. Drifting in the abyss now, aboard Erebus 9, all that remains of the Legion's command. Survival is the only goal. Sergeant Orrin Cale, a towering figure of muscle and cybernetic enhancements, sits against a bulkhead, his mechanical arm sparking intermittently from a severed power conduit. His breathing is shallow, controlled, but his rage is palpable. "This is a goddamn graveyard," he mutters, motioning toward the ruins outside. "They didn't just want us dead, they wanted to erase us." A beat of silence, then a shrill beep cuts through the static of the bridge's comms. Mira jerks upright, eyes widening. "Captain, I'm picking up something." Rourke strides to her. "Station," watching as a blinking indicator appears on the damaged display. A transmission, weak, fragmented, but active. "This shouldn't be possible," Mira whispers. No signals make it through the veil. The Erebus Veil, a region of uncharted space, a swirling expanse of dead zones and electromagnetic storms where ships disappear without a trace. A place avoided even by the most reckless smugglers. The transmission is faint, distorted by interference, but the coordinates embedded in it are unmistakable. "Could be a trap," Orrin grunts. "Or something worse. Or a chance," Rourke counters. "And right now we don't have many of those." Mira hesitates, then patches the signal through to the main display. The static clears for just a second. Long. Enough for them to see a face, a human face, hollow eyes, sunken cheeks, a uniform unlike anything they've seen before. And behind them, a city skyline. The crew stiffens. Because the city in the transmission is Earth, every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Right now, Galactic War Stories is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you love epic sci-fi battles, deep space mysteries, and the untold stories of the cosmos, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us grow this universe together." The screen flickers again. The figure speaks, their voice ragged with desperation. "This message is forbidden. If you're hearing this, you are not alone. The war isn't over. They lied to us. Earth is not what you think. Then, darkness." The signal cuts. Static fills the bridge. For a long moment, no one speaks. And then, Rourke makes his decision. "Set a course," he orders, his voice firm. "We're going into the Veil." The Lost Legion had been cast out, hunted, erased, but now they had a reason to fight. Because if Earth is not what they were told, then the truth was waiting. A storm brews in the abyss. The Erebus Veil looms before them, an endless stretch of churning darkness. Stars vanish within its grasp, swallowed by the swirling chaos of plasma storms and rogue gravitational anomalies. It is a region no sane captain dares to enter, a void where ships disappear, their wreckage never found, their distress signals never answered. And yet, Erebus 9 drifts toward its maw, its engines, struggling against the dying pull of momentum. Inside the bridge, tension is thick. The crew has spent years navigating war zones, dodging council assassins and fighting against impossible odds. But this feels different. This feels like walking into a graveyard. "Last chance to turn back," Sergeant Orin Cale grumbles, arms crossed, his cybernetic fingers twitching slightly. His battle-worn face is set in stone, but there's unease in his voice. "If the stories are true, we're flying into our own damn funeral." "They called us dead men the moment we were exiled," Captain Dane Rourke replies, his voice firm. "If there's a message coming from inside that veil, a human message. We need to know why." Mira Voss, seated at the main terminal, frowns at the flickering holo displays. The ship's sensors struggle to process what lies ahead. Gravity fluctuates wildly, sending erratic pulses through the stabilizers. Magnetic storms churn like living things, coiling and snapping with violent bursts of energy. "This region shouldn't even exist," she murmurs. "No celestial body, no recorded anomalies. It's like a fracture in space itself." "A fracture?" Orin scoffs. "That's a pretty way of saying a place no one comes back from." Rourke steps forward. His hands tighten into fists, his mind racing. The signal from earlier still lingers in his thoughts, the cityscape of Earth, the hollow-eyed figure speaking in hushed desperation. If the war isn't over, if Earth is not what they've been told, then the truth is waiting inside that storm. "Activate forward shields," he commands. "We're going in." Into the Veil. The ship's hull vibrates violently as Erebus 9 crosses the threshold. The moment they enter, the void closes behind them like a great cosmic maw snapping shut. The stars vanish. Silence falls. The crew braces as the ship shudders under immense pressure. The swirling dark outside is a roiling storm of impossible physics, shattered fragments of light, flickering distortions in space, the illusion of structures that seem to form and vanish in the blink of an eye. For a moment, there is nothing. No comms, no engine hum, no external readings. Just a void. Then, without warning, boom! A violent shockwave slams into the ship, sending the crew flying. Rourke barely manages to hold onto a railing as alarms wail through the cabin. Sparks explode from the ceiling, cascading in fiery embers. "Status!" he barks. Mira grips her console, her fingers dancing over the failing controls. I don't know. The ship's sensors are going haywire. Gravity is shifting around us, engine power fluctuating. Another impact. The lights flicker. The view outside twists, distorts. Then something moves. "Did you see that?" Orin growls, eyes locked on the viewport. The crew turns, staring into the abyss. A massive structure. No, a fleet of structures emerges from the swirling chaos. Metallic spires stretch like jagged fingers, glowing faintly with eerie, pulsating energy. They are old, ancient, and yet alive. They shift and reform, as if the veil itself is breathing them into existence. Mira's voice is barely a whisper. "Those aren't ships." The realization sinks in. They are ruins, a graveyard of vessels unlike anything built by human hands. Some are sleek and elegant, others jagged and monstrous, the remnants of civilizations lost to time. Their forms suggest countless species, countless eras, all drawn here, all shattered within this pocket of space. Orin exhales sharply. "I hate this place." "Captain," Mira chokes out, "we have movement." Rourke follows her gaze. Amidst the wreckage, shadows stir. At first they appear as nothing more than distortions, wraith-like forms shifting between the broken hulls. Then, as Erebus 9's external lights sweep across the debris, the figures take shape, sleek, silent, not human. And they are watching. The comms crackle. A voice, not from their ship, not from their own, slithers through the static. "You should not be here." Cold dread seeps into the room. The message was not a warning. It was a sentence. "Ambush shields to max," Rourke yells. But it's too late. The shadows move, faster than anything human. Beams of blue-white energy streak toward the ship, slamming into the hull like liquid fire. Erebus 9 spins violently, metal screeching as artificial gravity struggles to compensate. "They're boarding us," Mira shouts. The external hull cameras show dark, fluid shapes latching onto the ship's airlocks, their forms twisting unnaturally, neither mechanical nor organic, something in between. Orin draws his rifle, cracking his neck. Time to make them regret. That klaxons blare. The ship shakes as the first intruders break through, tall insectoid figures with elongated limbs, sleek exoskeletal armor pulsing with bioluminescent veins. They move with terrifying grace, their glowing, multifaceted eyes locking onto the crew. Then they attack. Orin fires first, his plasma rounds slamming into one of the creatures. It recoils, but the wounds seal almost instantly. Regenerative capabilities, not good. Rourke draws his sidearm, his mind racing. These things aren't just trying to kill them, they are testing them. Mira fights to regain control of the ship's systems as the battle rages behind her. "I don't think they're part of the ruins," she mutters under her breath. "They're guarding something." Rourke grits his teeth, unloading another shot into one of the creatures. "Then we need to find out what." Orin slams an energy blade into one of the attackers, its glowing ichor splattering against the walls. "Easier said than done, Captain." The ship lurches as another impact shakes its frame. Something else is coming. And deep within the veil, beyond the ruins and the unknown attackers, a second signal flares on the ship's radar. Faint, but undeniably human. Rourke's breath catches. Someone is alive in this nightmare. "Get us to that signal," he orders. Mira forces the thrusters back online, the engines groaning in protest. The ship veers through the storm of wreckage, diving deeper into the unknown. Behind them, the creatures regroup, their bodies shifting, adapting, and they follow. The void is alive. Erebus 9 hurtles through the chaos, dodging wreckage that tumbles like ancient bones in the abyss. The ship's shields flare as gravitational distortions twist reality itself, bending space in impossible ways. Behind them, the creatures pursue, their forms shifting and elongating, moving with terrifying agility. They are not simply chasing, they are herding. Captain Dane Rourke grips the command console, his pulse hammering in his ears. A second human distress signal flickers on their radar, buried deep within the ruins. It is impossible. There should be no one left here. No human should have survived in this void unless the truth about their exile runs deeper than they ever imagined. "Can we reach that signal?" Rourke demands. Mira Voss barely glances up from her console, her fingers flying across failing controls. "Not with those things breathing down. Our necks, shields at 30%. I can't maintain propulsion and keep our defenses online at the same time." Orin Kale, already battle-worn from the skirmish, reloads his plasma rifle with a sharp click. His jaw is set, his cybernetic fingers twitching in barely contained adrenaline. "Then we kill 'em faster than they kill us." "Or we find out what they want," Rourke counters, his mind racing. "Mira, can we hail them? Anything resembling a common frequency?" Mira hesitates. I can try." The comms flicker to life. Static fills the cabin, punctuated by eerie distortions, as if the void itself is speaking. Then, a voice, layered and inhuman, filters through the chaos. You do not belong here. Turn back. The tone is neither a threat nor a warning. It is a decree, absolute, final. Rourke leans toward the mic. We received a human distress signal from inside the ruins. If there is even one survivor, we are not leaving them behind. Silence, then. The past is dead. The war is lost. You search. 4 ghosts. A chill runs down Rourke's spine. The war is lost. What do they know? Before he can respond, an explosion rocks the ship. Alarms blare as a lance of searing blue energy tears through Erebus 9's aft section. We've been locked, Mira shouts. They're done talking. Then we push forward, Rourke snaps. Mira, get us to that signal. Orin. Yeah, I know, Orin growls, gripping his rifle tighter. I'll hold 'em off. The ship banks sharply, cutting through a graveyard of shattered vessels. Some of the wreckage is millennia old, corroded by time, while others look eerily fresh, as if entire fleets have been swallowed by the veil just recently. And then, through the debris, the ruined structures and the endless abyss, they see a lone ship, human in design, drifting, wounded but intact, and it is sending the distress signal. Mira gasps. That's a Sovereign-class destroyer. Rourke's breath stills. He knows that ship. It is the U.E.C. Revenant, a warship that vanished nearly 2 decades ago. What the hell is this place? Orin mutters. Before anyone can answer, a swarm of the creatures descends upon them, and this time they are done testing. Boarding the Revenant, the docking maneuver is suicidal. With shields flickering and the creatures closing in, Erebus 9 slams into the Revenant's starboard side. The maglocks barely hold as Mira overrides the ancient docking protocols. The moment. The airlock opens. Orin is the first through, rifle raised. The interior is a graveyard. Flickering lights cast long, dancing shadows across the corridors. Bodies litter the floors, human, twisted in agony, frozen in their final moments. But there is no sign of combat, no gunfire damage, no blast marks. They simply died where they stood. Rourke's grip tightens around his pistol. Stay sharp. Whatever did this might still be here. Mira's voice is hushed, reverent. I don't understand. The Revenant disappeared 17 years. Ergo, but this ship, it's not decayed, no rust, no damage beyond external scarring. It's like it's been preserved. Orin kneels beside one of the bodies, no wounds, no signs of struggle, just lifeless eyes staring into eternity. This ain't natural, he mutters. Then, a voice echoes down the corridor. Not a recording, not a ghost. A real, living voice. Who's there? Rourke freezes. His heart pounds in his chest. The distress signal was real. Someone is alive. Hold position, he orders, stepping forward. This is Captain Dane Rourke of the Erebus 9. Identify yourself. Silence. Then, the sound of movement. From the darkness, a figure emerges. A woman clad in a tattered U.E.C. officer's uniform. Her face is gaunt, her eyes sunken but alive. And Rourke recognizes her instantly. Admiral Celine Varos, the woman who led Earth's final defense, the woman who was declared dead nearly 2 decades ago. She stares at them, disbelief and horror in her expression. You're not supposed to be here. Before Rourke can speak, the alarms on the Revenant suddenly blare to life. The creatures are coming, and this time they are bringing something worse. Admiral Celine Varos should be dead. 17 years. Ergo, she commanded Earth's final stand. Every record said she perished when the Revenant vanished, and yet here she stands, her breath ragged, her uniform tattered, but alive. Rourke lowers his weapon, his pulse hammering. Admiral, how is this possible? Varos looks past him, toward Mira and Orin, toward the dim, flickering corridors of the Revenant, and finally, toward the airlock, toward the things that even now claw at the edges of reality. You need to leave, she says, her voice raw, laced with exhaustion. Right now. Mira steps forward, disbelief written across her face. No, you don't understand. We've been exiled, Earth is gone. I know, Varos interrupts, her eyes dark, haunted. And that's why you cannot stay. The words send a chill down Rourke's spine. The Revenant, the creatures, this place. It is all connected. The deck beneath them shudders. The alarms wail louder. Something is coming. Orin grips his rifle tighter. I hate cryptic talk, Admiral. What the hell is going on here? Varos's gaze flickers toward the walls, toward something unseen. Something watching. You think you were exiled, she murmurs. That's not the truth. Rourke feels a deep instinctual fear settle in his chest. Then what is? Varos finally meets his eyes. You were spared. The truth about the veil, the ship, shudders violently. From the darkness beyond the airlock, the creature's shrieks morph into something deeper, an unnatural resonance that vibrates through their very bones. They are not alone anymore. Something greater has come. Varos moves fast. You want answers? Then we need to move now. No one argues. She leads them through the corridors, deeper into the Revenant's heart. The ship feels untouched by time, preserved by forces beyond their comprehension. Ancient U.E.C. symbols flicker. On terminals, their power drawn from a source that should have burned out years ago. 17 years ago we were ambushed in deep space, Varos says, moving quickly, her voice tight. We had no warning, no time to react. One moment, we were part of the fleet. The next, we were here. Rourke glances at her. Here? You mean this graveyard? No, she corrects, shaking her head. Beyond it, inside the veil. Mira's breath catches. You went through? Varos stops in front of a rusted bulkhead, placing a trembling hand on the panel. We didn't have a choice. The door hisses open. Inside is a chamber unlike anything on the ship. The walls pulse with alien circuitry, twisting like veins of living metal. Strange, floating glyphs drift in the air. Not human, not machine, but something between. This is not U.E.C. technology. Mira's voice is barely a whisper. What time is this? Varos steps inside, her shoulders tight with unease. A message, a warning, and a prison. She gestures toward the center of the room. A circular platform hums with energy, suspended over a pit of absolute darkness, a void that seems to pull at the very fabric of existence. Rourke steps closer, staring into it. Shapes shift within, swirling in patterns that make no sense, whispering in voices that do not belong to this universe. Varos exhales. We thought we were retreating. We thought we had a chance. Her fingers brush against the control panel and suddenly, images flood the room. Holograms burst to life, flickering between real and unreal. Earth burning. The U.E.C. fleet obliterated. The Lost Legion exiled, thrown beyond the stars. But beneath it all, hidden in the spaces between realities, something watches, a presence. Vast. Endless. Waiting. Orin's voice is low, cautious. What the hell are we looking at? Varos turns to them, her face pale. Not war, not conquest, something worse. She points to the swirling abyss. The veil isn't just a border. It isn't just some natural anomaly. She clenches her jaw. It's a cage. The horror that waits beyond. The realization settles over them like ice. Rourke stares at the shifting abyss, his mind racing. You're telling me something's locked inside the veil? Varos nods. And something else, something out there tried to open it. Mira's eyes widen. You mean the ones who exiled us, the ones who took Earth? Varos doesn't answer immediately. Then, with quiet certainty, she says, I think they were afraid. The words hit harder than any battle, any explosion. The U.E.C. always believed the war was about domination, about alien civilizations fighting for control of the galaxy. But what if it was never about power? What if it was about containment? Orin exhales sharply. Okay, that's real damn terrifying. But why are you still here? Why is the Revenant still intact? Varos hesitates. For the first time, there is something in her expression that is not just exhaustion, but guilt. Because we weren't just lost, she says softly. She gestures toward the alien chamber, toward the pulsing circuitry that seems alive. We were taken, Mira stiffens. By who? Varos glances toward the abyss. Not who, she corrects. What? And then, the darkness moves. The end begins. The entire chamber shudders. The shadows within the abyss ripple, shifting, uncoiling like something awakening from a long, restless slumber. The whispers grow louder. Not voices, not language, but raw thought. And then, for the first time since they entered the Revenant, the creatures outside scream. But it is not a battle cry. It is fear. The alien glyphs on the walls flicker violently. The chamber's energy surges. Something is wrong. Something is breaking free. Varos runs to the controls, her fingers moving faster than should be humanly possible. "We need to go. Now!" Mira grips her arm. "Wait, you said this was a cage. What if we can stop it from breaking?" Varos's voice is tight, desperate. "You don't stop something like this. You run, you survive." Rourke doesn't wait. "Back to the ship. Move!" They sprint down the corridors, alarms blaring, the walls groaning like a dying beast. Orin fires blindly behind them, his rounds barely illuminating the darkness that swallows the passageways whole. Rourke shoves Mira forward as the air warps around them. Space itself fractures, reality bending in impossible ways. They reach the airlock. The Erebus 9 is barely holding together, its systems overloading. And then, the Revenant begins to collapse. The last thing Rourke sees before they launch, before the ship tears free from the graveyard's grip, is Admiral Varos, still inside. The Revenant staring back at him, unmoving, and behind her, the abyss opens. The Erebus 9 hurtles through the wreckage of dead ships, its engines burning white-hot against the void. Rourke grips the flight controls so tightly, his knuckles turn pale, every nerve in his body screaming to go faster. Behind them, the Revenant is collapsing, or worse, unraveling. The abyss inside the ship has torn free from its prison. Reality itself distorts as the monstrous black mass expands, swallowing entire corridors, entire decks, entire histories. The Revenant's hull warps and fractures, its ancient frame buckling under forces beyond comprehension, and Admiral Selene Varos is still inside. "Punch it, Rourke," Orin yells, bracing himself against the co-pilot's seat. "Get us the hell out of here." "I'm trying," Rourke snarls, his hands dancing across the controls. The Erebus 9's thrusters roar, pushing against the gravitational pull of the anomaly. The ship groans in protest, alarms shrieking. Then the wave hits. A pulse of black energy erupts from the Revenant's core, sweeping across space like a storm front. The Erebus 9 is caught mid-escape. Reality bends around them, the ship twisting. "Like it's being torn apart at the molecular level," Mira screams. Orin shouts something, but the sound is stretched, distorted. Time itself shatters, seconds turning into eternities. And then, silence. Darkness. A world between worlds. Rourke gasps as his senses return, his mind snapping back into focus like waking. From a nightmare. The Erebus 9 systems flicker and stutter, struggling to regain stability. He looks out the viewport and sees nothing. Not space, not stars, nothing. A void without color, without depth. A place that should not exist. Mira is the first to move, her voice raw. Where are we?" Orin swears under his breath, checking the scanners. "Nav systems are fried. No comms, no reference points. Hell, I don't even think we're in normal space anymore." Rourke's gut twists. The Revenant is gone, the wreckage field is gone, the entire star system is gone. They are somewhere else. And then, a voice. It is not spoken. It is felt. A presence inside their minds, ancient and vast, pressing against their very existence like a force beyond comprehension. "You were not meant to leave," Mira grips her head, gasping. What is that?" The void shifts. Something moves within it. Not an object, not a ship, but a presence. A ripple in the nothingness, vast and endless, and Rourke realizes they are not alone. The entity shapes begin to form in the void, impossible geometries, vast structures that flicker in and out of perception. Rourke tries to focus on them, but they twist and shift, resisting comprehension. Orin grips his weapon, though they all know it's useless. "I don't like this," he mutters. "You were not meant to leave," the voice repeats. The presence presses in, examining them, not like prey, not like an enemy, but like an entity observing something insignificant. Rourke fights to steady his breath. "Who are you?" The void does not answer. Instead, memories pour into their minds, not their own. They see a galaxy before humanity, before any empire or civilization. A time when the cosmos was ruled by something else, something that did not govern, through fleets or wars, but through concepts and thought. The veil was not a prison, not originally. It was a barrier, a wall between realities keeping something contained, until something on the outside tried to break it. Mira gasps as the visions fade. The war, it wasn't about territory. It wasn't about Earth. Rourke's voice is hoarse. It was about keeping something out. Orin grips his weapon tighter. Then why exile us? Why not tell us the truth? Silence. And then the presence shifts, because they knew you would not accept it. A ripple pulses through the void, and for the first time they see it. A vast silhouette, more concept than form, a thing of shifting geometry and liquid void. It watches them, not with malice, not with hatred, but with expectation. The cage is broken. The void trembles. You will choose a side. The decision. Rourke feels the weight of the words settling over him like a crushing tide. This is bigger than Earth, bigger than the U.E.C., bigger than the war. The exile wasn't a punishment. It was an act of mercy, and now they are caught between forces beyond human comprehension. The presence shifts, waiting. Orin's voice is tight. Rourke, what do we do? Mira clenches her fists. We need to go back. We need to warn them. Rourke stares into the void, into the vast, unfathomable presence waiting for his answer. Then, a pulse of energy. The Erebus 9's controls flicker. The void shatters, and suddenly they are back. Back in real space. The wreckage field is gone. The Revenant is gone, but the stars remain. The war still rages, Earth is still lost, but now they know the truth, and they are no longer just exiles. They are witnesses. They are the only ones who can stop what's coming. The Erebus 9 drifts through space, its hull scorched, its systems barely holding together. Inside the cockpit, Rourke stares at the glowing nav display, his mind racing. The ship's sensors confirm it. They are back in the Andromeda sector, near the remnants of a long-abandoned U.E.C. outpost. The stars are still where they should be. The universe hasn't collapsed. Not yet. Orin lets out a shaky breath. We made it. Mira isn't celebrating. Made it where? She looks at Rourke, her expression grim. We saw something that wasn't supposed to be seen. The U.E.C. sent us into exile to keep the truth buried. If we go back now, what do you think they'll do? Orin runs a hand down his face, exhaustion setting in. They'll silence us. Rourke leans forward, gripping the console. That's if we let them. Silence hangs heavy between them. Outside the viewport, the cold void of space seems indifferent to their fate. But Rourke knows better. He knows what's coming, because the presence in the veil, the entity, wasn't lying. The cage is broken, and something is already moving. The shadow war begins. Rourke brings up the ship's scanners, searching for anything. Any sign of the U.E.C.'s warfront, any transmission, any fleet movement. The data comes in fragmented, distorted by deep space interference. But what they can decipher is enough to send a chill through him. The U.E.C. isn't just fighting against the rebels anymore. Entire fleets have gone dark. Entire colonies have gone silent. Something is moving through known space, unseen, unrecorded, and unstoppable. Orin exhales. This is bad. Worse than bad. We need to warn someone. Mira shakes her head. Who? The U.E.C.? They exiled us for getting too close to the truth. They'd rather kill us than listen. Rourke's grip tightens on the flight controls. Then we don't go to them. Orin narrows his eyes. You're not seriously thinking. I am. A new set of coordinates lights up on the nav screen. A system deep in rebel-controlled space. Mira exhales, realization dawning. We go to the exiled. The ones who already know the U.E.C. is corrupt. The ones who will listen. Rourke nods. The Lost Legion wasn't just a punishment. They sent some of the best soldiers, the best tacticians, the best minds to the far reaches of space. They thought we'd tear each other apart, that we'd die in the darkness. He looks between them, his voice firm. They were wrong. Orin exhales, nodding. They exiled the wrong people. Mira smirks. Then let's make them regret it. Rourke pushes the ship's engines to full burn. The Erebus 9 surges forward, leaving behind the emptiness of the veil, the ruins of the past, and heading straight into the war that will decide the future. A war no one is ready for as the ship accelerates. The comms console flickers. An automated U.E.C. transmission is playing in the background, meant for all remaining military forces. This is an emergency alert to all U.E.C. commanders. The situation has escalated. Unknown hostile entities have been detected in multiple sectors, initiating full mobilization. All fleets are to regroup and fortify defensive lines immediately. This is not a drill. The message cuts out. Static remains, and then another voice distorted. Alien, not human. We are already here. Mira's eyes widen. Orin tightens his grip on the weapons console. Rourke simply stares ahead. There is no turning back now, because the real war hasn't even begun. And the Lost Legion is the only force left that can stop it. What do you think? If you were exiled, left for dead, only to uncover a truth that could save or destroy the galaxy, what would you do? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep space warfare, impossible choices, and the untold battles of the cosmos, share this video with others who love epic sci-fi stories, because the battle for survival is just beginning.